And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Jesse, I want to thank you for being on the show today. It's a real pleasure to talk to somebody like yourself. For a lot of people, including myself, that may not know exactly your background, why don't you tell our audience exactly what that is?
Well, I was raised in Astoria, Queens, New York. I grew up as an inner city kid, and then I met my wife, obviously in the neighborhood. We have 4 beautiful children, and I relocated out to Levittown, Long Island, about 10 years ago for my children's purposes, because the neighborhood I grew up in wasn't the best. You know, there's a lot of gangs, and I was into graffiti as a kid, and I was into bad things when I was a little guy. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, there was a lot of guys I grew up there either dead or in jail now. I mean, there's a lot of statistics there in the story of Queens.
And you
it's a better life out in Long Island for my children, so better school systems.
Excellent. What do you attribute your difference from the guys you grew up with? Why are you not dead or in jail?
Pretty much my savior, my wife. I mean, I would most likely either be dead or in jail if it wasn't for my wife. You know what I'm saying? And then mixed martial arts. As soon as I took a negative into a positive. You know, I mean, I used to fight in the street a lot, and for the wrong reasons, obviously. And then I started doing mixed martial arts, and I was fighting legally, which was legal to fight. And I was actually now I'm a respectful person. I mean, growing up as a kid, I would go to church too with my grandmother. I was actually an altar boy when I was very young in my earlier days, under 10. And, I found God again later on in life, so, I mean, I'm tattooed up, and a lot of my tattoos are Jesus tattoos. I go to church twice a week. I give a lot to the neighborhood, to the community. I do public speaking now at schools about bullying and, being positive, turning negatives into positives. So, and I teach my kids that the same thing. I do unto others as you want done unto you, I believe, firmly. So.
Excellent. And you're a pro fighter, is that correct?
Correct.
What is your current record?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is your current record?
I'm 3-0.
Mm-hmm. And your amateur record?
My amateur career, I was 17-1 as a kickboxer. I started off doing grappling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Matt Serra at Serra BJJ in East Meadow, Long Island. And I did over 70 grappling tournaments, Nagas, Grapplers Quest, Pan Ams. I won at a high level. As a blue belt, I was winning purple belt and brown belt divisions. So then I got into kickboxing, and I won 2 New York State titles, middleweight and super middleweight. And then I won a light heavyweight, East Coast heavyweight title. And then most recently, a few months back, I won a United States light heavyweight title, sanctioned by the PKF, Professional Kickboxing Federation.
Excellent.
And then I jumped into amateur MMA because, like I said, I was more of a grappler. I started my career as a grappler, and then, like I said, I excelled as a kickboxer. I went 17-1 kickboxing, and I started doing the MMA. I'm actually a better grappler than a kickboxer, to be honest. And I was just beating dudes up in the cage because it was more my style. I'm more of a grunt and, street fighter, getting in there fighting dirty. But most of my kickboxing fights, the refs are like, you're not allowed to elbow, you're not allowed to clinch, you're not allowed to push, you're not allowed to, there's restrictions in kickboxing.
Uh-huh.
So that's where the MMA is more suited for me.
And how long have you been doing MMA?
I've been training altogether about 4 years. I've been fighting in the cage for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
So a little over a year now.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm a very special dude. Like I'll go pump gas, or when I go through the airports, people are like, "Wow, look at how muscular that guy is." And my ears are cauliflowered up, both my ears are closed. So I'm just an intimidating looking guy. And people are like, wow, you probably, and I'm far from that scary guy that I look like, you know what I mean? I'm helping people, I pull over to help someone change a tire. I'm a nice guy, you know what I'm saying? I look very scary. People are like, wow, you're scary. Can I get a picture with you? You know what I mean? I go to Target with my wife, and the people are shivering at the counter. I don't know who they think I am. They mistake me for someone else, but...
Jesse, what does your family think of what you do?
You know, my wife gets the brunt of it. She doesn't care for it much because I'm constantly getting injured, and I'm not home all the time because I got to train a lot for these fights. I got to stay in shape. I'm 36, and these guys are young, and the guys 22, 25. So I'm in the gym 2 hours every evening, and I got 4 children at home. So it's trying to be a dad and a fighter at the same time. It's awkward.
How old are your children?
My oldest daughter is 14, then my oldest son is 13, and then I have a 12-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. So the 4 of them.
And do they brag about Dad at school?
I'm sorry?
Do they brag about Dad at school?
Oh, yeah, definitely, of course. All their friends want to come take pictures with the belts, and, they're all like, your dad's got big muscles. And I mean, it's a good thing for my daughters, you know what I'm saying? That their father's a little intimidating, but... And again, I got my daughter into karate when she was younger, but she wasn't feeling it, so I didn't want to force it on her. Most parents, I got my son into wrestling, and I would take him to the tournaments, and if he wasn't feeling it, I don't want him to do it because I do it. But other parents, which I don't agree with, their children would lose on the mat, and it's always not about winning or losing. That's what I try to teach my fighters, too, that fight for me. It's about competing. You're a winner just competing already.
Right.
And having fun. I try to tell everyone, go into the match and have fun. If you're not having fun, don't do it.
Right.
Do something that's fun. So that's another thing when I move to Long Island. There's so many options for my children to play music, to draw. Do what it is that you want to do. I don't want to force you to do anything. These other parents at these wrestling tournaments, they're looking down at their children if they lose. They're punishing them. I don't agree with that. In any sport, not just wrestling or, parents need to be supportive, whether they're winning or losing. Just whether your kid wants to be an architect or a baseball player or whatever it is, you got to be supportive of your children.
Absolutely. And, so what is a regular training day like? Is it different, like regular day-to-day, as opposed to when you're getting ready for a fight?
Definitely, because I'm an avid weightlifter, so I walk around at about 186 pounds, and so I like to fight once every 2 months, or as often as possible, depending if I get caught in the fight or I'm always injured, a broken toe or some type of injury, but all fighters go into fights with injuries anyway.
Right.
But if any fighter tells you they're not injured going into a fight, then they're not training right. Because if you're training to your hardest, you're going to get an injury some way, some form. But that's part of being a fighter. But in any case, like I said, I'm an avid weightlifter. So before a fight, usually 4 weeks before my fight, 6 weeks before my fight, I got to stop my weight cut. So I stop lifting weights. I do a lot more cardio, a lot more running, sauna, more calisthenics, and more sparring. So it's definitely, and I put more time in the gym. Like I said, if I know I have a fight in 4 weeks, my camp is usually 4 weeks to 5 weeks, 3 hours a night. 6 days a week. 6 days a week before a fight.
And what about your...
I do roofing. I'm also a roofer, so I'm getting 6-7 hours a day on the roof. So that's 2 a day in my eyes.
I can imagine people walking by and going, that guy on the roof looks familiar.
Yeah, I do get that a lot. Like I said, I get that a lot. I mean, it's funny to me. I mean, I don't know if they confused me with someone else. I mean, I've done a lot of magazines, interviews, this and that. I've been on some shows here and there. I tried out for the Warrior Island for Global Proving Ground. I signed a deal with them, a pro deal. So they're big trying to do the Warriors Island now. For
Excellent.
The Global Proving Ground. And so I get a lot of people that see me on that. And I mean, I enjoy it. I never get tired of it. My wife gets annoyed with it. Some of the guys from my camp get annoyed with it, but and I get a lot of haters also too. I get a lot of people that don't like me in the industry, which is, in my eyes, it's good. If they're talking about you, good or bad, they're talking about you.
Hey, you said
But
you
my
give
wife
back.
is definitely supportive. Without her, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. You said you give back to your old neighborhood. Are you kind of like a legend in that neighborhood?
Uh, in all honesty, I was a legend in the neighborhood before I left for the wrong reason. So now when I go back, people are amazed at how healthy I am. I was always healthy. I was always into working out, but they're amazed at how successful I am. I have a mortgage. I have a house. I have the grand. You know, to me, I'm like George Jefferson. I made it. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in a two-room apartment. You know what I'm saying? As a kid, me and my brother, my mother, my father, my uncles were there. 2 rooms. That's all we had. So now I got a driveway, grass in the front, grass in the back, a vinyl fence, dogs, cars. You know, the American dream I'm living, to me. So
Yeah.
I feel good when I walk in the neighborhood. Like I said, and I give back to the school I went to. I go there and I do motivational speeches for the kids, tell them to keep their head on straight. To the community service, like when I was younger, I did community service. I go back and tell them to stay away from drugs. You know what I'm saying? It's just because you're the guy that has the car now, he's not that cool guy. In 10 years, he's going to be not where you want to be. You know what I mean?
Yep. What has been the biggest impact on your life with martial arts?
The biggest impact in my life with martial arts has to be a respect factor and a humbling factor. Like I said, before I started, thought I was the baddest guy in the world. You know what I mean? And I didn't really know. It's a whole different ball field as far as being a professional athlete in any sport. But as far as fighting, your footwork, your cardio, and and just fighting in general, you have to, and being respectful to the people you fight. Like I'll share a sandwich with the guy at Wayne's. I'm gonna fight. We're gonna punch each other in the face. We know this. You know what I mean, it doesn't mean I can't be your friend before and after.
Right.
I don't like when guys are trying to give you a mean face and scary. You don't have to prove to me you're a tough guy. You're getting in the cage to fight. You're tough already, buddy.
Right.
You're not scaring me by your muscles and your scary face. I've seen that. Like I said, when I was younger, I was shot at. I've been shot. Been here. I've been there. So the tough guy thing's not going to work on everybody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest impact I learned on mixed martial arts is being very respectful and being humble. I was knocked on my ass by 20-year-old kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
Same way. So, I mean, it's a humbling experience.
You know, we have a variety of ages that listen to the show. And there is, I won't say if, younger guys and girls that listen to the show, and they see pictures of you, and they look you up on Google and listen to you, and they go, hey, I want to be just like him.
YouTube, I have stuff on YouTube, Facebook, all that.
Yeah. What would you say to them as what their first thing should be if they want to get into this?
Make sure it's what you really want, because a lot of guys come into the gym and they wear the tap out T-shirt, or getting punched in the face is not for everybody. And, you know what I mean? And if you want to do jiu-jitsu, that's fine. But even getting arm bars and injuries, I've been blessed that I really haven't been severely injured. I've seen guys get injured and get problems with their neck, and then they have nerve damage. So, and I've seen little kids at tournaments, 8 years old, which is good competing, but again, their parents letting them get choked out in arm bar. I think kids got to grow. Arm bars on little kids and neck cranks. I don't think it's the best thing, but that's their children. They can do what they want. But if kids are looking to do it, make sure it's what you really want to do. And if you're young, you have so many options. Stay in school. You can never go wrong. Join the soccer, join lacrosse, join baseball, football, join every activity. So, mixed martial arts is not for everybody. Give it a whirl. God bless you, but, the business, it's like any other business. There's a lot of haters. I've seen promoters do bad things. It's just a sketchy business.
Jesse, I'm going to put you on the spot because I do this with everybody. What is the biggest mistake you ever made in your fight career? And what would you do different?
The biggest mistake in my fight career, what would I do different? honestly, it's taking too many fights too soon. I mean, as a fighter, you always want to fight, you want to impress, and you got to let your body heal up. I fought 3 times in a month and a half kickboxing, and I took 2 kickboxing fights and an MMA fight within a month and a half. And that's just trying to, again, make promoters happy, make certain people in the industry happy, and not looking soft. You want to keep a rep.
Right.
But you got to let your body heal to be 100%. I mean, it's hard as a fighter if someone's saying, I want to fight you, to not take that fight. Because, you know, you have it's an ego thing. That's a big thing in fighting. It's an ego thing. But I would say you have to heal up 100%. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Just to appease other people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely what I would do differently. I mean, I would definitely have gone back. I won those fights, but I didn't look the best as I should have looked. You know what I mean? And my performance wasn't 100%. I still won. But it's not to my standings where other fights where I've rested and I looked amazing. And, some of the films I can't even go back and watch because I don't agree with my performance.
Right.
As if I would have let myself heal 100%.
And how does a guy like you relax?
Well, relaxing is hard for me. I'm up at 3. Like I said, I only sleep 4 or 5 hours a night, and I'm constantly on the move with 4 children and training and work. Relaxation for me, I mean, it's rough. Relaxation for me is a Sunday morning with my wife in the bed, just chilling. But usually I'm either going to the gym or working. It's rare that I relax a lot because, like I said, my children, it's a real circus with them, which is good. God bless them. If they just sat around and faced the corner, I'd be worried. If they carry on, then everything's good. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Do you have, now a lot of fighters, and I ask this of everybody, a lot of fighters have mentors or other fighters that they look up to and say, hey, this guy's an inspiration or this woman's an inspiration. Do you have anybody like that?
Inspirations, well, obviously God is a huge part of my life. But as far as fighters being inspirations, my trainer, Bobby Campbell, he's a 3-time world champion. He got me into kickboxing, and he's very poised. He's a calm, cool, relaxed kind of guy. Under pressure. I've seen him fight a few times. He's fought all over the world, Scotland, Australia, like I said. So he's I kind of respect him and look up to him because he makes the right decisions for me. He tells me when I'm getting in over my head or, tells me I'm too trustworthy. Watch this guy, watch that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And another, Matt Serra also, like when I first started, he took me in with open arms. He was a very nice guy when my first 3 years I spent at Matt Serra's camp. And his brother, Nicky Serra. They're really cool people also. I mean, they're down-home people. So.
Cool. And what gym do you train out of now?
Now I train out of, Campbell's Kickboxing and MMA. It's in Amityville, New York, Long Island. And I also bounce around to Belmore Kickboxing. A few UFC guys train there. I train out of Maximum. I go to a variety of gyms because I always think change is good. I try not to stay in one location because then I'll get too comfortable with the guys that are there. So that's another thing I think all fighters should do is not always keep the same guys in their camp. Go to different gyms. Be active in other gyms to see what your skills are. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
To see how you fare against other people. So I move around a lot. I mean, my home gym is Campbell's Kickboxing MMA, but like I said, I travel to different gyms just to see different feels of different fighters.
And you think that gives you an edge above other guys it doesn't?
Well, mentally it gives me an edge because if I walk into someone else's gym, they see me coming in and they say, hey, we're not going to tolerate this badass coming in here, this new guy, he's got all kickboxing titles and he's an MMA fighter, so they usually push me. They try to test me,
right?
Which I would do too. This guy, new guy coming in the gym. All right, let's see what he's got. If he's really that bad,
right?
Which mentally is good for me. If I go and get my tail kicked, I say, okay, I know what I got to work on. If I go and I hold my own, then I say, okay, so I'm doing something right. You know what I mean? And that's what you need before a fight. You need to know. In fighting, you need 3 sparring partners. You need someone you're better than, someone you're equivalent to, and someone that's going to knock you on your tail.
I would have to agree. Hey, you mentioned that your jiu-jitsu you're a better jiu-jitsu fighter than you are a kickboxer. How does that relate to MMA? Would you say that your ground game is better than your stand-up?
Well, as far as in jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts, like a lot of guys, they get confused. Like, my jiu-jitsu game is awesome, but it's more of an MMA game than jiu-jitsu. Like, jiu-jitsu guys want to do MMA, but there's a difference. Like, I can't just train jiu-jitsu. I got to train MMA.
Right.
Like, it's not a grappling tournament. Jiu-jitsu guys that train just jiu-jitsu, they do great in submission grappling. But now you put them in a cage where they're looking for an armbar. I'm not just going to give you an armbar and defend. I'm going to be punching you in the face.
Right.
And kneeing you in your face as you're trying to look for this armbar. So it's completely different. So you really want to train for MMA more than jiu-jitsu. But, I'm definitely a better ground fighter than my stand-up. My stand-up is exceptional. Actually, my last fight, my mentality is taken to the ground, but I was beating him standing up. So my trainer said, stop trying to take him down. You knocked him down twice on your feet. So just keep it. But my mentality is ground to pound. Get him down, wrestle him to the ground, and then beat him up.
Excellent. Huh. I see what you mean. Hey, are you the only one, aside from your immediate family, are you the only one in your family that's into martial arts, or do you have, like, cousins or uncles or aunts or anyone like that that's into it?
No, I'm pretty much the only one that's doing mixed martial arts. I have a cousin that's she's a bodybuilding competitor. She does bodybuilding competitions. But as far as mixed martial arts, like, I'm pretty much the only one. Like I said, my daughter was into karate for a year. So yeah, my son's an avid wrestler. He still wrestles. Mm-hmm. He's been wrestling for about 4 years now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a wrestler in middle school. Next year he'll be going to high school. They both are high school in wrestling. Which they had Gian Vellante, who's a UFC fighter, come out of that school for wrestling. He was an all-star. Chris Wyman, which I train, he's got a fight against Silva coming up. He trained at Sarah's. He's a wrestler on Long Island. Came out of Long Island as a wrestler. So wrestling's kind of big on Long Island.
Oh, excellent. Hey, Jesse, what's your now your career's not over yet, but up to today, what's your most memorable fight and why?
My most memorable fight has to be my last amateur fight in New York. It was the first sanctioned MMA fight in New York City, and it was in my hometown, obviously, New York. And it was the first legalized, sanctioned, ground and pound MMA fight, which was on Victory, was the name of the promotion, which happened a few months back. That has to be because a lot of people came out, and there was a few thousand people in attendance. So it was definitely my most memorable fight card that I've been on, only because it's the first legalized, sanctioned by the WKA, ground and pound MMA show in New York, and I was a part of it. I made history pretty much by being on the card.
Excellent. Hey, do you have, is there a fighter out there, regardless of weight class, that you've sat down when you're alone and thought about, gee, I'd like to fight them?
There's no one really on my radar, no. I mean, in my local area, there's a lot of guys that have said, I want a piece of him, obviously, because if you're successful, everybody wants to fight you. Mm-hmm. But there's no one that's really been on my radar. I mean, I'm really not big on calling people out that I really look to fight. I mean, but I'd like to fight the best. I mean, obviously, I'd love to be in the UFC. Obviously, I'd love to fight the best of my weight class, which is George St. Pierre, like half the other world would love to do. But, there's no one, I'm not big on calling people out. I'd like to fight the best guys just to show my talent. Mm-hmm.
And do you have a fight coming up?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a fight lined up for the near future?
I have a kickboxing fight. I'm fighting July 12th here on Long Island. That's for another title. It's a title fight. I'm the main event on the card. But I'm supposed to be doing an MMA fight. I was supposed to have one in Virginia in July, but I got to get a minor surgery on my arm. I just came from an MRI right now, actually. 5-10 minutes before I started speaking to you, I just came from an MRI on my arm. They got to shave some of my bone on my elbow. But the doctor said 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops, heal-up time. So So in September, most likely, I'll be fighting in September.
Uh-huh. And
Where yet? I'm not sure, but definitely in September.
okay. And this kickboxing event that you're going to be at, you're still going to do that regardless of the elbow?
Yeah, I mean, fighters do what fighters do. They fight. I mean, my last fight, I knew about this injury. I've had a fracture for over a year, and I just kept fighting with it. Obviously, like I said, I don't want to take time off. I'd like to fight with it, but it's just gotten to the extent with where my range and rotation of my arm is limited because of this injury.
Mm-hmm.
I suck it up as a fighter. Like I said, it continues. I'm going to do the kickboxing fight regardless of the fact that I already committed to the promoter, and I'm interested in getting that title, and that would be my 5th title in kickboxing.
And where is that supposed to be held?
That's going to be in the Sons of Italy in Deer Park, Long Island. And the promoter is Jackhammer Promotions, and that's on July 12th. I'll have all the pictures and video posted up on my Facebook page before and after the show. So
Excellent. Do you know who you're fighting, or is it just whoever?
I was supposed to be fighting a Carlos Torres, who he's actually an undefeated fighter, but I'm not sure. They said he might have gotten hurt. That happens a lot when I get opponents. They're all game for a while, and my opponents change a lot. I don't know. That's why my trainer said I should take my videos down off of YouTube and stuff, because that happens a lot. It happens a lot in this business, which I understand fighters get hurt. I get hurt too, but you get a lot of guys that say they're willing to fight and they want to fight. I don't know if they're in it for the T-shirt, to be a T-shirt tough guy, or they just want everybody to think they're fighters and then they pull out. Like I said, I'm obligated. I know I could fight with this injury. I just bear with it, and I fight. I like to fight. I'll fight anyone. I fought, like I said, when I did grappling tournaments, I fought in the absolute division. I won tournaments at 170. I put guys to sleep at 215 with head and arm chokes, triangle chokes. I won the absolute divisions, and on a brown belt level, and I was a purple belt.
Oh,
so
excellent. And
I like to fight.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years? What would you like to be doing?
I'd love to be sitting on the beach in Florida, sipping margaritas, but I don't think it's possible. No, honestly, 10 years, I'm just, God willing that everybody's healthy. I'm healthy, and, I'd love to reach the peak of the mountain in this MMA thing, and be very successful at it. But again, if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. I mean, I can only go as far as my skills take me, and being in the right place at the right time. I mean, MMA's blown up so much. There's so many people doing it now. There's so many promoters out there. There's so many fighters. I mean, you really got to want it to get somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Well, Jesse, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know that you're training all the time, apparently, and I really appreciate you being on the show with us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
I always try to give back to everybody I interview. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to sit back and shut up. And I'm going to let you go ahead and promote whatever you want to promote. It doesn't have to deal with fighting. It could be anything. And you just go ahead and you got the mic.
Thanks again, Dave, for having me. And just a few things I'd like to say to the kids out there that are listening. Listen to your parents. I mean, they've been through it. They've seen it. They're older. They're wiser. So they pretty much got a grip on life. So stay in school, do the right thing, keep your faith, gotta lead you in the right path, and keep your options open. Don't be tied down. Try everything. You're young. The world is a big place. See it, do it, try it out. And as far as shout-outs, I mean, everyone on Long Island, Levittown, Long Island, my team, Campbell's Kickboxing, Bobby Campbell, my trainer, to my Global Proven Gal family, Warriors Island, Mr. James Jefferson, all those guys. Belmore Kickboxing again, Maximum Jiu-Jitsu, the schools. And if you want to keep your eye on me, Jesse McBroom, check me out on Facebook. I'm on it all the time, on Twitter, on all the time for the fans. to keep them, let them know what's going on. I got a few stuff on YouTube. And like I said, hit me up on Facebook. I'm a friendly guy. And we'll keep in touch.
Excellent.
And that's all the champ's got to say.
Well, thank you again, Jesse. I really appreciate your time, and best of luck with that kickboxing tournament. Hopefully you and I can connect again.
I got it.
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck. Go out there and kick some ass. And again, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Dave, again.
You have a wonderful day, Jesse.
You too, buddy.
Bye-bye.